Today, I have a very special guest whose work is mostly on the quantum optics, and he has worked in the largest atom interferometry at Wuhan.
During my school days, I saw this very unique symbol of what we call in as psi. It's a Latin character which is used for a wave function in quantum mechanics. So my first seeing what is called a Schrödinger's equation. So I just felt like, what is this? What is so special about this psi and all?
So what do you think? How is the ecosystem evolving in India, especially in the quantum space, quantum technologies?
I got introduced to all these fundamental experimental aspects of what is called precision measurement and laser cooling and atomic spectroscopy, basically.
How to convert this deep tech research, like a quantum research, into a deployable system?
What are called the atomic clocks will lose 1 second in the whole lifetime of the universe. Yeah. So the accuracy has gone to that level now. These atoms will have a certain structure, similar to our a fingerprint of a human being. Each atom has its own unique structure.
Which quantum technology do you see most widely adopted?
The technology has gone to a level wherein we can measure a magnetic field at the level of going from nanotesla to picotesla to femtotesla to up till attotesla also, which is 10 to the power minus 18 Tesla. When our heart pumps the blood, so blood basically has ions. So they basically, as the blood gets pumped, these iron ions will basically move, and as they move across our body, they will generate magnetic field, because the moving charge will basically generate magnetic field.
So how critical is semiconductor technology and hardware system to enable quantum systems?
The heart of most of these quantum sensors is the electronic components. One big bottleneck here in this quantum technology is the a lot of dependence on the imports of these equipments. We have recently actually developed a very narrow linewidth laser, what is technically called an external cavity diode laser, or an ECDL. So which can basically, this experiment was being done in Wuhan actually, which is about 3,000 kilometers away from the actual sea.
Wow.
So we could basically figure out how the high tides are coming and the low tides are coming, so the gravity value will basically change with that. So if I can measure a field of the order of femtotesla, I can basically tell the activity, what is happening inside my brain.
And then we will be using this technologies as compared to the regular ECG.
Because of the muscle density and other things, the electric field might get attenuated also. So you'll have more noise in what we use these days as ECG or EEG. So in place of that, if you can use these magnetic field measurement sensing devices to understand how healthy is our heart or how healthy is our brain, we can get even more better understanding of what is actually happening.
So what is the advice that you want to give to startup founders or researchers who are working in this quantum technology or related technologies and who are struggling with huge timelines, investment, and skill? Welcome to another episode of Swaraj Silicon. This is our episode number 5. And today I have a very special guest whose work is mostly on the quantum optics, and he has worked in the largest atom interferometry at Wuhan. Welcome, Dr. Sachin. Happy to have you.
Thanks, Poonam. Yeah, same here. It's my pleasure to be here with Swaraj Silicon. Yeah, thanks for inviting.
To begin with, Dr. Sachin, can you briefly explain your work, which is more towards quantum optics, and your work also spans around working with largest atom interferometer at Wuhan. So if you can explain, that will be great. Yeah.
So just to introduce to how I got introduced to this field was I started when during my school days, I saw this very unique symbol of what we call in as psi. It's a Latin character which is used for a wave function in quantum mechanics. So my first seeing what is called a Schrödinger's equation, so I just felt like, what is this? What is so special about this psi and all? And then it happened with me that I joined for my master's degree at JNU, wherein I got a good grasp on what is the fundamentals of quantum mechanics and all. So I went a step ahead on understanding more nearer to this symbol psi. And then when I joined I think the first quantum optics lab in India, working with late Professor Vasant Natarajan at Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, I got introduced to all these fundamental experimental aspects of like what is called precision measurement and like laser cooling and atomic spectroscopy basically. So just to brief you a bit about what is precision measurement, it is so the name of the game is to measure any physical parameter more precisely with higher and higher number of decimal places.
Okay.
Like so, a very fundamental measurement which we do in this area is how we define a second. Yeah, a second is basically defined as a certain number of oscillations between two energy levels in a cesium atom. So, like roughly 9 into 10 to the power 9 oscillations of cesium atoms going from one state to the other state, and as they come down, that's how we define a second. Yeah. So now more precisely we can measure this do this measurement more precise will be the definition of the second. Okay, and it has come to a level now that the latest experiments can like boast of an the sensitivity, the accuracy is of the order of like that this the what are called the atomic clocks will lose 1 second in the whole lifetime of the universe. Yeah, so the accuracy has gone to that level now.
Okay.
So these are some of the like fascinating aspects of what is called the precision measurements. And then there are other things like wherein we do measure various ambient effects on these atoms, which basically these atoms will have a certain structure, like similar to our like a fingerprint of a human being. Each atom had its own has its own unique structure, which gets changed because of the ambient magnetic field or electric field or of some RF signals or some other effects because of the gravity and other things. So if we could measure that change in the atomic structure because of this ambient effects, we can indirectly measure these effects. And that's how the whole field of quantum sensing basically works. So if I want to sense a magnetic field, I need to measure the change in the atomic structure, but the change in the atomic structure, which in the common parlance is what is called a Zeeman effect. Like the magnetic field will basically change the structure of the atom. So that change of structure of atom can tell me how much is the field, the ambient field, magnetic field. Yeah. And the technology has gone to a level wherein we can measure a magnetic field at the level of going from nanotesla to like picotesla to femtotesla to up till attotesla also, which is 10 to the power minus 18 Tesla. Yeah. Okay. And just to give you a like a rough estimate of this number, like about like half a micro Tesla is what is the Earth's magnetic field. So we are going much more below that level. And like another fascinating thing about these numbers is like when our heart pumps the blood, so blood basically has iron ions. So they basically, as the blood gets pumped, these iron ions will basically move, and as they move across our body, they will generate magnetic field, because the moving charge will basically generate magnetic field, and that magnetic field will be of the order of nanotesla. Yeah. So this nanotesla can be measured by using what are called atom magnetometers, atom-based magnetometers. Then there are things like which are happening inside my brain or anybody's brain. What are the neural activities basically? So the signals are going from, let's say, my hand. When I move my hand, so the signals basically go from my hand to my brain, telling me that like, okay, this is hot, you should move away, or this is cold, this is too cold, or like this is paining you or something, like, so you can move the hand. Like, so all these signals, they go and come by what are called the transmitted signals, and these signals are transmitted again by certain kind of ions, what are the sodium and potassium ions. So as they move across, they again generate magnetic field, which is of the order of femtotesla. Yeah. So if I can measure the field of the order of femtotesla, I can basically tell the activity what is happening inside my brain basically. Yeah. Okay. So this is the kind of precision or kind of measurements which we can do with these quantum sensors. Yeah. So my main expertise in is doing these kind of precision measurements like across the different domains. Like, so I can so at Wuhan I was involved in an experiment where we were measuring acceleration due to gravity. So that will again create some kind of effect on the atoms, and that by measuring that change in the atoms, we could measure the acceleration due to gravity, and we could basically tell that there is there is a high tide in the sea, which was this experiment was being done in Wuhan actually, which
Okay.
is about 3,000 kilometers away from the sea, actual sea. So
Wow.
we could basically figure out how the high tides are coming and the low tides are coming. So the gravity value will basically change with that. So we could measure that change, which in the technical parlance is what is called a microgal kind of a precision, microgal or nanogal kind of a precision. So we
Right.
were doing that. There
Mhm.
is another aspect of it. Then yet another aspect of it is to basically use these quantum sensors for doing what is called navigation. So you can right now we navigate our path through all these streets and all using what is called a GPS, the global positioning system. But then there are certain instances where these signals don't work, or they are actually get jammed by some, like in a warlike situation, the enemy can basically jam these signals, and then you need to have look for some alternate signals, alternate ways to basically navigate your way, like, or a submarine which is under the sea water, like deep sea. So it
Mhm.
cannot basically get a GPS signal. So definitely it
Okay.
needs some alternate mechanism to. So that is another aspect of these kind of sensors application, basically. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So I want to ask, you talked about you don't have to do, I mean, uh, by measuring the magnetic field or the field around, like when the blood pumps, or which is wavering with respect to the blood flow, and whatever the activities goes inside the brain, will it also help in understanding the activities inside the human brain? Or and as well as will it also help in detecting few diseases even without doing any blood test? Does it help in any such ways? I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, definitely it does. So that is the main aspect. So if I go with the normal day to day testing, this, so one of the equipments which we use is what is called a EEG, the
Okay.
electroencephalograph, which
Mhm.
basically is an electric field map of your brain. Okay,
Okay.
so what is used these days, like that's an industry standard.
Mhm.
Another one is what is called the ECG, the electrocardiogram, which is
Mhm.
basically to understand the
Heart
health of the
activity.
heart, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So but these things are measuring the electric field. So in place of measuring the electric field, if I can measure a magnetic field
Mhm.
which goes one like a much lower in terms of accuracy, it will give you a better accuracy, first thing. And second thing is, because of the muscles and other things, muscle density and other things, the electric field might get attenuated also. So you'll have more noise in what we use these days as ECG or EEG. So in place of that, if you can use these magnetic field measurement sensing devices to understand how healthy is our heart or how healthy is our brain, we can get even more better understanding of what is actually happening inside. So even before the start of the disease, we can probably understand what are the kind of changes which are happening inside the brain, which might cause this disease or that disease, and then we can do a preventive measure, basically. Yeah. So definitely it is like these are technologies which will be used for diagnosing disease, or treating them as well, so, because you can understand the onset of the disease much before then they actually show up as the external some feature which is coming, because some deformity or some other such thing coming, showing up by the body, so yeah.
So what will be the cost difference? Cost difference as in because accuracy will be high, and then we will be using this
Yes.
technologies as
Yes.
compared to the
Yes.
regular ECG. So what
Mhm.
do you think? What would be the cost difference?
So initially, we are right now, at a, I'll say, not in the nascent phase, but little higher on that. So there have been field trials going on by different companies which are working on these kind of sensors. And so initially the cost might go a little higher because of the R&D involved and other things, but ultimately it will be coming down as it becomes more commonly used across, and the size and the cost will be hugely in our favor, basically. So it won't be too
Okay.
much costly as well, though it will be giving us much better results. The cost aspect will be in our favor only, yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. And quantum, so that brings me to the next question. So quantum navigation and inertial
Yes.
sensing. and quantum
Yes.
magnetometer. All this while, I was thinking that it is gaining momentum in defense, aero. Do you
Yeah.
see more on healthcare and other geophysics application? I mean, what is your take on that?
Yeah. So I'll say the biggest like field which will get impacted most will be the healthcare, is what I feel, because like these quantum magnetometers, they are like they have been used like across industries even before also, like, but as the whole quantum industry is gaining more and more like importance and all, and a very good thirst and impetus because of the funding and all the kind of situations happening this time, so they are they'll be the first one to like grab the main attention in terms of like commercialization of these things, and they'll be very soon. I don't see it'll take too much of time to have like a ECG replacing being replaced by a MCG, a magnetocardiogram, or a EEG being replaced by a MEG, a magnetoencephalograph, which will basically be having a like a kind of a helmet on your head, and then these small sensors will be sitting across in that helmet, and then understanding the activity of the brain basically in live basically, yeah, and without intruding inside your like skull or anything
Yes,
like that. Yeah.
yes. And the accuracy,
Yes.
and the more important is the accuracy with
Yes.
which it will be
Yes.
reported,
Yes.
right? And
Hmm. Yes.
okay, so what do you think? How is the ecosystem evolving in India, especially of the quantum? I mean, especially in the quantum space, quantum technologies.
Yes. So the first good news about our Indian ecosystem as far as the quantum technology is concerned is we have the maximum number of undergrads or masters people who are trained in this quantum this thing, because of our sheer number, because of our big population and all. So there are so many of people who are there who are actually trained in this. But one negative aspect is they are not exactly aligned with the industry this thing, and that's where we have to pitch in as like we at Quantum AI Global or any other such startup firms, or even the government has to pitch in to make sure that these people get the right kind of training, or they get the right kind of incubation in terms of being part of an industry in as interns, or like for short term projects or long term projects, and thus gain important industrial open to the industrial environment, and get the sufficient knowledge of like how actually utilizing this like knowledge from like going from the classroom to the actual commercial day-to-day life basically, yeah. So that is one major thing which we have to see. And then the other aspect, one big bottleneck here in this quantum technology is the uh, a lot of dependence on the imports of these equipments. A lot of these equipments
Okay.
are very critical import like equipments, but then we have a very heavy dependency on foreign countries, like especially US, China, or European countries, where we buy our say rubidium cells from, or where we buy our lasers from, or some very specified kind of optics, a very specialized kind of optics we buy from. So that reliance has to come down with time. Like so, like we at Quantum AI Global, we are trying to do it like our kind of part. Like so, we just to give you a like glimpse of the whole this thing, we have recently actually developed a very narrow linewidth laser, what is technically called an external cavity diode laser, or a
Okay.
ECDL. So which can basically bring down the cost, and the bigger aspect is the timelines basically. So a typical laser which we purchase from a country like say US or some other country will take like its own sweet time in terms of like paperwork, then like multiple things will be there, and then once we purchase it, it comes, then there might be some issues with it, and like we had some such problems with some of our lasers we purchased from one company in the US. So these aspects are there, and then like it has to again go back for repair, or some of their service
Oh.
engineer will come like once in a like 2-3 months or 6 months or some such thing. So all these bottlenecks, like the time
The
consuming
complexity of the
things
supply
will
chain.
yeah, will get go down if
Mm.
like more such initiatives are done, like what the way we are developing this action cavity diode laser or the electronics connected with it. Yeah, so that can basically solve a lot of resolve a lot of bottlenecks in this. Like, so that is one of the another like major aspect. Like even the electronics things, even the optomechanical things or the vacuum technology also. So where we can, so we need to try to figure out places where we can actually, like with the current technology or with little advancement in technology, we can pitch in and do our part, like as far as these critical components are concerned, so that we are not fully reliant on like countries. And then there might be a situation like a war-like situation or some such other situation wherein
Mhm.
there are restriction or purchasing
Sure,
some
sure,
particular kind of components by these countries, like, so because they don't want
sure,
us to
sure, sure.
kind of
Yes.
come in the same level to as far as their technology is concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the competition. So, Dr. Sachin, can you tell us the art, like how to convert this deep tech research, like a quantum research, into a deployable system? Like, what is the art or the playbook?
Okay, so it basically depends on like each kind of like equipment or the sensor you're looking at. But broadly, I'll say like uh, so going from like conceptualizing the experiment, the whole setup. Then second thing is to basically do a what we call as proof of concept, where we basically see that it is actually happening on in a hardware. Yeah, what we call as POC or the proof of concept. Then we on a tabletop, so full tabletop experiment. So like if I just give a use case of our quantum memory system. So we started with basically conceptualizing the whole experimental setup, then just doing some demo these things and doing some simulation part and all, where we actually do the theoretical understanding of this experiment, like what will be the parameters which will be needed and all. And then we actually procure the items, the lasers, the optics part, and the other things like the rubidium vapor cell which is used here,
Sure,
and
sure,
other electronics parts and all. And
sure.
then we put it on a table, an optical table, wherein we do the whole experiment. Then the next level comes to how once we have shown the proof of concept, then the next level is to basically fine tune it so that we can reduce the size of the overall size of the experiment, or reduce the number of components so that the complexity gets reduced, the price gets reduced and all. And then ultimately, like for any product, the main thing is the form factor, like how big or how small it is, the what kind of power it is consuming. And so what is the size, weight, and the like what we call a SWAP. So size, weight, and the power consumption. Yeah. So ultimately we look for something which can miniaturize the system so that it can become mobile, we can take it around. And then this whole proof of concept or the tabletop experiment which is happening on a in a controlled lab environment, which is like a clean room with stabilized temperature, stabilized humidity, and other conditions. So we have to make sure the same things can be replicated in an open element where we are taking a sensor on a moving bus or a moving truck or some such thing. So when I talk about a magnetometer or a gravimeter and all, so these are mostly happening inside the lab in control element, wherein we have
Okay,
vibration isolated tables and
sure.
other things. So the next level will be to take this miniature thing to the outside world and see how it behaves, and then again fine tune the, like again do some engineering aspects to be like taken care of. Even like one of the major, like I was just talking to one of my colleague, was about the thermal management of an electronics box and all. So what happens is, like, so when we have, so just to tell you, like at the heart of most of these quantum sensors is the electronic components, like the electronic control box, the laser controllers, the current controllers, the temperature controllers, and others. And then when we put them, sorry, put them in a box, what basically happens is they generate the heat, and the heat causes them to malfunction. They are not meant to be working at that temperature. So we need to make sure that the heat management is taken care properly. There has to be fans to basically cool them down, or there has to be some vents to, like, so these kind of like back and forth kind of exercise keep happening, like till the time we get a stable operation system in the open environment. And once that is done, then there are different TRL levels. So we start with like TRL1, which is basically like a POC, TRL1 to 3 kind of POC. TRL4 onwards is like where we can make it as a kind of a product, and we can take it to this thing, maybe not fully commercially this thing, but we can still use it in a like a R&D lab or some such place. Yeah. So these are the various like steps on like taking from the concept phase to the actual product like which comes out. Yeah.
Sure, sure. But right now, all these
Yeah.
lasers and all are imported.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay. And also, you mentioned size, weight, and power. So, out of this three,
Yes.
which is the most important ingredient?
There's no preference, I'll say here. You have to
Okay.
work with all of them. Like, so you have to have a smaller size, you have to have low weight, and then you have to have be consuming as less power as possible. Yeah, because like say in a lab environment, we'll be like just powering them from the like a main supply, but then in the ultimate run, like for instance, like a simple thing, like if your battery, the phone battery doesn't last for like more than 1 hour or more than 2 hours, you will have problems. Like you have to multiply like charge them multiple times and all. So if uh, but if you can reduce the power consumption, say for instance you are not using it for say watching some videos or some such thing, so the power can like last for more longer longer time. Like so, yeah. So
Sure.
either you need to have power, the consumed power of the device as less as possible, so that you can with the same battery you can last, you can go for longer this thing,
Sure.
duration, like you
Sure.
can use it for a longer duration. Yeah. So there is no preference, I'll say. Like,
Sure, 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 sure.
yeah.
And in another 5 to 10 years, which quantum technology do you see most widely adopted?
What I feel the main, it's already being adopted already, is what is called the quantum sensing part. Like so,
Okay.
uh, I'll take a few minutes to just
Sure.
clarify some
Sure.
things here. Is the term quantum most of the times is used actually for uh, by the common, like by the common man, for the like one of the verticals in the quantum technology. What is the quantum computing? Yeah,
Okay.
which is actually at its starting phase is what I'll say. Quantum communication is another vertical of the quantum technology, which is at kind of like certain testing phase. I'll say like things are happening, but like it's still not commercial this thing. But what is the most advanced part of the quantum technology is the quantum sensing, like wherein we
Okay.
talk about magnetometers, we talk about gravimeters, we talk about GPS denied navigation and things like that.
Mhm.
So magnetometers are already being used for geophysical exploration, or even gravimeters are already being used for geophysical exploration.
Mhm.
I was just reading through one article yesterday or day before, I think, wherein the Chinese army actually has started testing these GPS denied navigation systems in
Okay.
their one of the in their arsenal basically. Yeah. So
Okay.
things are already being used in quantum sensing. So
Okay.
definitely in next 5 to 10 years, I see it growing many folds. Like, and then with bottlenecks like the lasers and other things like miniaturizing things and all,
Mhm.
as the
Mhm.
technology advances further, the semiconductor technology and other technology related technologies, as
Mhm.
they improve further, I see much bigger change in the next 5 years in quantum sensing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
so, how critical, since you mentioned semiconductor, so how critical is semiconductor technology and hardware system to enable quantum systems?
Yeah. So the main part here is uh, basically miniaturizing these tabletop experiments and all, and that's where the semiconductor industry can play a very vital role. So just give you an example, like we typically the typical the rubidium cell size which we use is 1 inch by 1 inch, roughly the dimension of the cell which we use, which
Mhm.
is quite big compared to like if you are trying to use it as a sensor which will be put on a helmet to like measure the brain waves and things like that. So in that scenarios, we'll be needing semiconductor based MEMS vapor cells, which will
Okay.
be much smaller in size and all.
Sure.
So this is one thing. Then there are things like photonic integrated chips, the PICs,
Mhm.
what we call as. So
Mhm.
wherein these multiple components are integrated in a single chip, and the overall size of the sensor or the form factor of the sensor will become much smaller, and then these things will be scalable. Like, so we can have multiple such copies of these kind of chips and all. So which will so that's where I see the semiconductor industry playing a much bigger role in terms of miniaturizing these sensors, basically.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And our last question. So, what is the advice that you want to give to startup founders or researchers who are working in this quantum technology or related technologies and who are struggling with huge timelines, investment, and skill?
Yeah, so one first, a word of caution I'll say is this quantum technology is a technology which will need a longer incubation time. It will not immediately achieve things like if I talk in terms of business, it will not immediately give you revenue, or it will not immediately get you like profit or something. Yeah,
Sure.
but you have to be more patient in terms of that. That is one thing.
Mhm.
And second thing is we all need to like understand that there are multiple verticals involved in this technology. So it's not only the quantum physics part. There are things like electronics. There is things like vacuum techniques. There are things like optomechanical components, high precision components are involved in like overall this technology. So it has to you can't so it's like all the tires of the all the wheels of the car has to go in the same direction, then only the car will move forward. Like, so what I'll say is, like, all these industries have to work together, and the experts in these industries have to work together to make it a real thing, the quantum technology. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Dr. Sachin, for such an insightful discussion. I'm sure
Yeah.
our viewers will have a lot of ideas about where to start and where to seek for any help. And you are also looking for funding. Do you want to give any note on the same? I mean, you are free to do so if you are looking for any funding.
Okay. Yeah, so we definitely always look for funds, like for developing. So we have so I'll just mention, like, we are lucky to have a CEO in Sanjay Chittu, like, who has that vision of getting this whole lab set up here. And like I was pleasingly surprised wherever I go. Like, most of the times I talk to people who are in the quantum domain, they are mostly talking about algorithms, the simulation part and all, and they actually don't know what exactly the quantum hardware looks like and all. And Sanjay has that vision of, like, getting this lab running up and running, and like supporting all of us, and like with a team of we are a team of about 20 scientists and engineers and other people. Yeah, so we definitely always need funding, and like we have been like we have recently got some like funding from some sources, and we are working on further some other proposals as well. Like, so it's like any kind of funding on these like quantum sensing application or quantum communication application especially are welcomed. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Dr.
Yeah.
Sachin. And if you like our
Yeah.
journey
Thanks,
so
Poonam.
far, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
sure.
Sachin.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks.